Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you are watching or listening to in the Philippines and all over the world. This is my podcast, the RJ Ledesma Podcast. And in my podcast, I interview the country's pioneering business personalities and entrepreneurs to learn more about how they think about doing business, what are their success secrets, can we use those same success secrets in our businesses? How have they innovated or pivoted their businesses during this pandemic? But more importantly, what opportunities do they see emerging in the current normal? Is there a business personality or entrepreneur that you would like me to interview here on the podcast? Drop me a line. I would love to speak with them. And of course, we are also live right now on Kumu, CBRC TV, Globe Pinas TV, Bounce Back Network, and on YouTube at the same time. Tonight, I've got a very good friend here on my show. We've been together for the past couple of days, and he gave me the opportunity to host Miss Bikini Philippines to 2022. Thank you again to my wife also for allowing me to host Miss Bikini. No, he's a good friend of mine. He is a serial entrepreneur. That's why what he does is so close to my heart because we both have sort of like the same mindset when it comes to business. But more importantly, he's become truly a fitness inspiration for me. And the fitness inspiration is directly linked to one of his businesses, which is ProMedia. My guest here tonight is Paul Izon Reyes. He's the CEO rather of several companies, which include ProMedia and OmniSecuritas and other food businesses. Now, ProMedia is an events management company that specializes in beauty, fitness, bodybuilding, and wellness events. And they've got some really good news about ProMedia. At the same time, his other company is called OmniSecuritas, which is a pioneering Philippine cybersecurity company that protects and assists Filipino businesses to be more secure and resilient by using a suite of advanced software tools based on a zero trust managed endpoint detection, analysis, and response technology. A lot of jargon over there, which he will unpack as I speak with him here right now. So please welcome to my show my very good friend, Paul Izon Reyes. Paul, welcome to the show.
Hello, RJ. Thank you. It's an honor to be in your
Paul, I need your
show.
mic on. Sorry.
Oh my
Switch on your
gosh.
mic.
It's on. It's on. Is it not on?
There, it's off and it's on.
Can you hear me?
Well, I'm just double checking right now. Or maybe it's me who can actually hear Paul here right now, no? So just a couple of things. Now, before everything else, and I'm just going to reboot very quickly here on the show. Maybe there's a reason why I can't hear him. But let me tell you this one. Paul, as we start talking here right now, and I know that you can hear me, no? And as Arian puts me in the background, I want you to tell me the big news about what happened with Pro Media recently. What's the big news of all the talents that you've had. Maybe you can discuss each one of them as they entered into Binibining Pilipinas. And I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So, Ariane, you can hear me, right? Big news is two of our ProMedia athletes. We call them beauty queen athletes. Won two of the four crowns in Binibining Pilipinas. That's Chelsea Fernandez. She won Miss Globe, and Roberta Tamondong, who won Miss Grand. So that's 50% success for ProMedia as a project management, fitness project management company. Well, apart from the two candidates, or two queens who won two of the four crowns in Binibining Pilipinas, we had Gwendolyn Forniol, who won Miss World Philippines. She's also a pro media athlete. So that's she won the crown, the main crown. We have Michelle Arce, who won first runner up for Century Tuna Super Bods. And of course, Shannon Tampon, who won first runner up in Miss Elite um, in Egypt, besting almost all except one of the candidates there, all the countries there. So we're actually proud of these five and all of the other candidates and candidate athletes who competed in different pageants. So yeah, good news. We're celebrating now, but there's more work to be done because our three beauty queens, Chelsea, Roberta, and Gwen, are competing abroad. I think in Albania, and then if I'm not mistaken, is it Indonesia or Thailand, and in London this year. So big news, big news. I hope RJ comes back soon. Technical difficulties. Should I continue, Arian, or should I wait for RJ? Okay, so let's. Well, maybe while RJ is not around, I can talk about RJ first. RJ is a good friend. I think his dad and his dad-in-law are friends or batchmates of my dad in LaSalle. RJ is about my age, so
And I'm
we're
back.
around the same age. We're batchmates. Oh, here he is.
Yes, yes, we look. I know we look like we're 21 years old, right, Paul?
That's
So
right.
sorry,
That's
but
right.
I was watching very closely over here. So thanks for telling the whole stuff. So a lot of big news, and we're gonna go back to it later on. And I know you talked a bit more about the on-trip background you had uh, for Pro Media, and it's a big story for me that how many years old na yung Pro Media that you were finally able to start off and finally start getting beauty queens who were ranking in the competition.
Actually, the beauty queens, the pageantry just came 2019. It was accidental. Pro Media started in 2012 really as a fitness company, fitness events company. We used to do bodybuilding competitions, some small fitness events. Um, I think we kicked off by uh, 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 planning to train this former actress because she gained weight. She's my friend. She gained weight, and we wanted to get her back in shape and put her back in the cover of one of the men's magazines, FHM. Although that didn't push through, we started mounting bodybuilding competitions. In fact, up to this day, from 2013-14 to this day, we run the biggest bodybuilding competition in the Philippines. It's called Sean Roden Classic. Although Sean Roden passed away already, but it's named after him, and he's Mr. Olympia 2018. So it's we're really into bodybuilding. It's only in 2019 that accidentally we were offered a beauty pageant, a long-running beauty pageant called Miss Bikini Philippines. Used to be run by Slimmer's World, but then they were giving it up. They were discontinuing it, and it was sold to us, so we acquired it. And so all of a sudden, we're in the beauty pageant industry, apart from bodybuilding shows, we were running this beauty pageant called Miss Bikini Philippines. During the pandemic, we mounted a virtual beauty pageant called Misfit
Wow.
Philippines. So we have two beauty pageants, and from there, the winners and the strong contenders of these beauty pageants that we were hosting, that we were running, we ended up sponsoring them, training them for fitness, and then sponsoring them for the bigger pageants like this one, Binibining Pilipinas, Miss World Philippines, Miss Elite Philippines, Century Tuna Superbods. And thankfully, because of because of our fitness background, and fitness is physical, but also we talk about holistic fitness. It's intellectually and emotionally fit, physically fit, mentally fit. That it needs to be a complete package for someone to win something like that on a national stage, like besting everyone who competed in that national competition.
Got that. And the interesting thing is, strangely enough, I'm very familiar with the pageantry world, especially because I used to be a columnist for the papers, and I used to interview a lot of them. I know the people out there, people like Jonas Gafud, of course,
Mm.
from Binibining, my good friend Walter Tayag, who's also
Mm.
with Binibining. My talent manager, Arnold Vigafria, is in charge of Miss World Philippines. So I have at least a passing understanding of the industry. And the difference here is that many of the people who join beauty competitions, these are grassroots, and these are really more talent managers who search for them from the grassroots level, and it takes time to sort of nurture them to bring it up to that level. But you sort of short circuited the whole process of you coming from, I mean, from out of literally from out of nowhere. You aren't an established talent manager. That's not even in your background. But all of a
No.
sudden, you guys are placing people, and they're going, where is he coming from, right? So what do you think made you different from all the other, I guess, what you would call talent managers in that industry to come up?
Well, we manage talents, but I'd like to call Pro Media. We used to manage events, but I'd like to call Pro Media now a project management company, because we consider these events, bodybuilding and pageants, as projects, but we also consider the athlete, and we don't even call them beauty queens. We call them beauty queen athletes. We consider them projects in terms of their fitness transformation, their holistic fitness transformation. But you're right. There's kind of a disruption in the pageant world because we came in. To give you kind of a sense of where Pro Media is in the six national title holders right now. That's Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss Globe, Miss Grand, etc., etc. There's three Pro Media athletes of the six. So you look there's a lot of social media content now showing the six who will be competing this year, which who will be doing the country proud, representing the Philippines. And three of those six are trained by us and managed by us. So yes, like all of a sudden, me who's a businessman, entrepreneur, coming from the food industry, I'm thrust into this whole pageant world, which it's foreign to me, but I'm kind of getting used to it. Now, to answer your question, like how are we different? I guess we bring in this business approach. That's one, entrepreneurial. You're my fellow entrepreneur. Very proud of you, by the way. But
Thanks, man.
yeah, serial entrepreneur. Us entrepreneurs, ano, we're creative. We just find ways, right? Walang discarte, no excuses, get things done. So, the difference with the way we've been running businesses and the way I see beauty pageants, there's a lot of it can be informal because of course it's there's a lot of revelry and glitz and glamour. um I don't know if it's been professionalized as much as the other industries are. So, but I know there are a lot of pageant camps that are already starting to professionalize the way they train their candidates. So, which is good. But I guess what Pro Media does is we really instantly bring that professionalism and no nonsense and no excuses mentality to the crop of girls, crop of beauty queen athletes that we handle. um the other that we're disrupting it because we bring that business sense, but I'd like to say also that we're changing the game because our focus really is fitness. what we've noticed, because we started with bodybuilding, and then we started studying pageantry when Miss Bikini Philippines landed in our laps. What we were seeing was there was a correlation between winning the swimsuit competition and winning the crown.
Mhm.
Meaning you look good in a swimsuit because it's a beauty pageant. Like you look fit, you look toned, and then by the time it's coronation time, it's usually the best in swimsuit who wins the crown. So that's when light bulb moment. That's what we do. That's what we train. We train for physique and fitness, and this is just physical. I mean, at first, modesty aside, but pro media with our great trainers and our head fitness consultant and co-owner Gib Osbert Ang. We call him Oz because he's a wizard in fitness and training. He's the one who trained me, by the way, to look almost as good as RJ Ledesma without
Ah,
a shirt.
Mutual Admiration Society over here. Yep. Paul's got a good fitness inspiration story. We can talk about that, I guess,
Yeah,
a bit which
yeah,
I need to want to talk about. But yeah, so see, Oz has been working on the girls. I mean, that was his.
yes, yes. Very, very professional, no nonsense. He competed in Las Vegas. I mean, he's the only Filipino who's competed, homegrown Filipino who's competed in Las Vegas in the Olympia amateurs. So he also trains the top businessmen,
Like Izon
in the
Reyes.
country. Like
Yeah.
like like well, me, but our common friend who's
Yes,
very
our
up
friend
there in terms of
Filipino,
business.
top
So
businessman.
so
Yeah,
you know that if it's good enough for our friend Pau, it's good enough for beauty queens, right? And
exactly.
so there I there's not many. I can't even say there's any group that trains beauty queens, for fitness, for physical fitness the way we do. So we started with that direction. Let's have them if there's that connection between winning the swimsuit competition and winning the crown, then half the battle is done. They look the best in swimsuit, and then what else do we need to give them in terms of question and answer training, kind of intelligence training, um just emotional their mentality, their emotional quotient, um etc., etc. And I think that really explains. So those two factors: the business approach, the professional entrepreneurial approach, and then the fitness approach, which physical fitness, which now metamorphose or evolved into holistic fitness. So we
Hmm.
bring in the complete package. So you'll see that um, Chelsea Fernandez, who's our reigning Miss Globe Philippines, and Roberta Tamondong. Well, aside from just having the best physique in the competition, they're really complete. They're holistically fit and holistically beautiful, as we say. So same thing with Gwendolyn Forniol, who is our reigning Miss World Philippines, will be competing in London. So yeah, that's it. That's how we kind of changed the game, disrupted the industry, I think.
I understand from the start, like the framework that you had coming in was different. And I often go back to the idea of innovation. And sometimes when you talk about innovative business models, it's sometimes taking something from another industry and reapplying it into another industry. Sort of like, you use fitness industry as the lens to take a look at how you should pivot inside that sort of uh, beauty pageant world, because fitness was not never a perspective coming. I mean, fitness isn't the primary perspective coming in. Maybe the first was maybe just looks, makeup, projection, but then you sort of took a different tact entering into that field. But the other
Right,
thing I'm
right.
interested in is you know what's the end game in terms of mine is more like what's the business model now? Because okay, I understand that it's good to be a talent manager, and I work with a talent agency as well as a talent. But what exactly? How does the business generate income? When you look at pro media, is it because you are running events? Because the basic model for events is that basically it's a sponsorship driven model, and then but aside from that, but it only relies on sponsorship to increase. And if you have beauty queens coming through there, and you're improving their physique, those are your operating expenses, right? And you have to
Yes.
send them to international competitions as well. So can you help me better understand just how does it make money?
Right, right. So pro media in bodybuilding, it really started out as a passion, like a passion project for us. We're a group of four good friends, and we started doing bodybuilding competitions. We're this September we have Mr. Philippines, the bodybuilding competition coming up. Um, yeah, it was a passion project, but yes, it had to be sustainable. So the way we revenue was generated was through ticket sales. Well, with bodybuilding, there are registration fees, and that's a pretty substantial amount for bodybuilding, plus ticket sales for the audience, plus sponsors. For pageantry, it's the same, except that there are no registration fees for athletes, but ticket sales is one and sponsorship is one. What we did with our beauty pageant, with our two beauty pageants, is we use it as a platform to also promote our sister companies and our businesses. Like, for example, the food businesses that we might be talking about later. We have a chain of restaurants and a chain of food carts. They're sponsors, so there's mileage there, not just for the event, but 20 to 30 beauty queens, and people like seeing the social media of beauty queens. They're required to promote the brands. We have health and beauty products like, we call it Ultra Immune C. It's a non-acidic vitamin C that's also a presenter for one of our, I think the one that you I know the one that you hosted for us, that was a
That's
presenter,
right.
Ultra Immune C. um, uh, Beauty soaps, supplements, etc. So these are businesses that sponsor our events, and they generate mileage, and we generate sales because of the mileage from the event itself and the candidates. But the end game is, in terms of managing talent. So every year we have two pageants where we have 20 to 30 candidates, and from there is when we choose those who have the strongest potential to make it internationally. And from what we're seeing, actually we're very new because the pandemic hit, right? So we're pretty new in the industry. That's why it's a pleasant surprise that we have succeeded in having three of the six crowns,
I
national
know that's
crowns.
why that's what I find quite impressive. I mean, there are many over the years.
Yeah,
Usually, it's because of battle of talent agencies, technically, right, or of people who source from the grassroots. But yours came as a different approach to
right.
getting people into the pageants or getting beauty queens into the pageants.
So in terms of talent management, I'm seeing the potential, as a talent agency, to earn from the agency commission. There's
Hmm.
usually a certain percentage that we get, so it's pretty substantial. But it's new to me, so I'm still learning it. But I'm seeing that, okay, this is how we make our money back when it comes to sponsoring the beauty queen athletes. But in terms of the event management, it's really through ticket sales and sponsorships, and it's good enough. I wouldn't say that it's tubong lugaw, that it's generating the kind of income that would make you wealthy. But it's passion, eh. So anything that you're passionate about, you find ways, diba? As entrepreneurs, you find ways to gain a profit from it. um we enjoy it so much because we enjoy the transformation journey. These ladies, that we sponsor, or these ladies that join our pageants, they're changed. They evolve from the time we meet them, and this not just physically. You will see physically, but in terms of maturity and mentality and emotion, which is the most important actually for me. And it's a good feeling, right? Not everything is about earning the big money. That's when we can talk about OmniSecuritas Technologies later, my cybersecurity company. But it's profitable, but it's more of the fun business. There's nothing, the beauty business is a fun business, right? And as I always say, and as you can tell also your wife Vanessa, beauty has a healing factor. When you see a beautiful painting or the beauty of nature, there your brain releases chemicals to keep you healthy and to heal you. And of course, beauty and fitness are so interrelated. Diba? A beautiful physique, a fit physique is beauty, right?
I have, just in case, like for us, can you just share with us just at least one case study of, one of those beauty queens where you saw what an amazing transformation and really went so far. I mean, people didn't think that she had potential, and eventually, oh my gosh, now she's here right now.
Oh, well, we have one who's I think her name is Roberta Tamundong, and she's one of the youngest crown holders. She's only 19. So among a group of 40, she was the best. And we met her when she was 17. She competed in Miss Bikini Philippines 2019, the first year that we took over. Very young, had potential, but still, in terms of the level of maturity and the way, syempre, you can be beautiful, but if the way you answer is not yet that of a queen, you can't win a pageant. And so, if you look at her now, in fact, the press, they were describing her as the veteran at 19,
Mm.
besting 21, 23, 26-year-olds. So that took a while, and it started with her. Also, it started with fitness. um and you know this, RJ, when you start working on your health, right, when you start working on your fitness, it clears your mind. It
Yes, it
clears your
does.
mind. It there's dopamine and oxytocin and endorphins, and all of a sudden you're able to face the day. You're able to, like, think, you feel like you can conquer anything, but there's a confidence there. And um it's harder for us who work with her almost every day to see it. It's, we hear it from pageant media, from the press, na iba na talaga siya. And again, being described as a veteran, a master in pageantry at 19. Can you imagine where she will be at 22, 24? So
Mhm.
that's one. Yeah, that's one. But there's several. There's some who are very shy, who are now very confident. There's some who were somewhat insecure about their bodies, who are now, just lighting the stage on fire because they're so confident. And you can relate to that, as so can I, 'di ba? Now when we're fit, iba yung ano eh, iba yung asta mo eh. And then you go to a meeting, you go to a deal, you go to a negotiation, and you just have that kind of confidence because you feel good, you feel strong, 'di ba? So
Exactly.
that's the kind of, like business alpha male, alpha female mentality that we just incorporated into pro media, and the girls just absorbed it. And now we had six candidates who we fielded six candidates in Binibining Pilipinas. Binibining Pilipinas is the most respected and just storied pageant in the country, diba?
Mhm.
um, we fielded in six. All six made it, which is unprecedented also. Like, six out of six made it as the 40. And then among the six, two won four of the crowns. So you have to have a kind of different mentality, like Mamba mentality, to really make it that far, diba? I don't think anyone teaches that in pageantry.
Talking about Mamba mentality, let's look at the comment box here right now. I'm looking at Aryan, check this out. This comment over here from Charles Valles Arceta. Go Pro Media. He's saying over here. Can we show that on the screen right now? Go Pro Media. And prior to that, when he also has Go Sir Paul, we have Ken Rodilias Pilarca saying Lodi. And over here, we have Shannon Stampon who was saying that when you were referring to Gib or Oz, no, the coach, sabi niya, best coach. I love that. Coach, best coach that you have over there.
Yeah,
And
Shannon
we have
Tampon, if you look at her, she's Miss Elite Philippines, and she won the first runner up for Miss Elite, in Egypt,
wow.
beating all the other countries except
Thank-
one.
Well, well, that's still a big deal, right? And Shannon, thanks so much for
Yeah.
listening here right now. We also have a Franz Ivan saying, "Go Sir Paul Izon Reyes," and we have also Chelsea Fernandez hashtag Pro Media. Tell me about Chelsea.
Oh, Chelsea Fernandez is Miss Globe. Um, she's been described as a pageant unicorn, and you know this in business, di ba? Pag unicorn,
Oh, yep,
uh, one
in the startup
billion
world. Yeah.
dollar valuation company. In fact, Chelsea is described by pageant media as a pageant unicorn because she's a rarity in pageantry, meaning any crown she wants, she can win. And it's that rare, and it's that priceless because $1 billion nga, Chelsea. Pahingi naman ng pera, Chelsea.
Thanks
No,
so
but
much, Chelsea. And Shan, for
Yeah,
listening.
Chelsea.
Hopefully, we got more of the beauty queens tuning in here right now. There's one of the very first message over here, Jam Aquino. Is she also a beauty queen as well?
She's
Jam
the I
Aquino.
think she's the most beautiful beauty queen among pro media beauty queens. This
Okay.
Jamie. Yeah.
Okay. Jam Aquino, I'm looking forward to seeing you in some of the competitions as well. And moving forward, no. So we've talked, I think, a lot about pro media, but then let's move on to your other company, OmniSecuritas. So if you look at them, they're two very different companies. One was a passion project which evolved into it had to be a money making project, right? Eventually, and something where you sort of found a very strong niche. But OmniSecuritas is rather new, and I also know that it's a partnership with a, like you told me, it's a Canadian corporation, if I understand correctly. But let's step back and, as an entrepreneur, run me through your mind as to why you thought that this would be a good opportunity to tie up with somebody to build this business.
Omni's a Philippine corporation, but I have a Canadian partner there, Bernard Gibbs. Shout out Bernie. But we partnered with SciDef, which is a Canadian corporation. We're the exclusive distributor of their product, their software. But yeah, as an entrepreneur, I think we'll talk about my learnings later on. But my learnings from coming from the food industry is that you need to diversify your interests, your businesses, and one of the I'm all about, and I'm sure as you are, as are you, RJ. I'm all about, like, how do you achieve greatness? How do you become the next whoever? Like, how does how did Jack Ma achieve that? How did Manny Villar achieve that? How did Manny Pacquiao get to where he is from nowhere? How did Kobe Bryant? Anyone who's great is inspiring for me. That's why, so I read on their stories. I read, and and one of the things I realized, I mean, it's actually a no-brainer nowadays, is that if you want to be a billionaire fast, or not fast, but in this day and age, there's no fast way to becoming successful. I mean, there's no legal fast way. You have to really work for it. Many of the young uh, entrepreneurs, wealthy and successful entrepreneurs, are in the tech industry. So I'm like, I got to get in there, and I'm like,
Uh,
how do I figure how I'm a by the way, I'm a com arts major in Ateneo, class of 1998. Shout out,
Shout out to
com
the class.
arts 1998. And so that's not my training, right? The technology, internet, software. So but I knew that I had to understand it, and I had to find my way, find a way to be involved. And and by some stroke of, I don't know, luck, or they say luck is opportunity, and it's hard work and opportunity. It's a meaning of hard work and opportunity. I ended up partnering with a Canadian friend who already had plans of getting into cybersecurity. And it's so timely because their banks that have been hacked recently, or relatively recently. Um, I hear banks get hacked every day. You just don't hear about it. So there's a saying: it's a matter of if, not when, diba? And so as an entrepreneur, I wanted to get into tech, but at the same time, as an entrepreneur like you, I want to do good, right? Like, I want to the stuff that I want to do. Like with Pro Media, it's about transformation. It's about holistic transformation, of becoming better than what you were, right,
Mhm.
months ago. So with Omni, it's about protecting our endpoints meaning computers, PCs. That's the technical term for
Endpoint.
everyone's
Okay.
device, or ano, machine. So endpoints, because it's it's so easy to hack your laptops and PCs. Like, anyone can just check. A hacker, and it doesn't even need to be a professional hacker. There are, in the quote unquote dark web, there are instructionals on how to hack whoever you want to hack. So really, in this day and age, you really have to protect yourself, not just with antiviruses, because antiviruses are the first line of protection. You have to protect yourself with what they call EDRs, or endpoint detection and response software. So that's what That's what OmniSecuritas uh, sells exclusively. SciDef's it's called Smart AV, Smart Antivirus, and Smart Monitoring, which is an endpoint detection and response software (EDR).
Yeah.
So um again, as an entrepreneur, I want to do good, so I want to help prevent, what happened with one of the leading banks, right? It was a
Mhm.
big issue. People lost their money, the bank had to pay up, etc., etc. And again, as I said, it happens all the time, and it's not being, it's being kind of covered up because it just hurts the business too much to even announce. Better to just pay, better to just fix it internally. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to involve myself in technology because that's the way to really, succeed. To raise my level as a businessman, be in the tech industry, build something. But I also wanted to be able to help people protect their money, their endpoints, their computers, their identity, their data. Now you're saying that how is it connected? So it seems so unlikely, the connection between, fitness, pageantry, and cybersecurity.
Technology.
But
Yeah. For
actually,
cybersecurity.
there is a connection, and the connection is that as I said, the EDR, or endpoint detection and response software, it operates counterintuitively, and it's very, there's an interesting parallel between my mentality when it comes to fitness and health and the way this software protects your computer.
Mhm.
Because most EDRs, they protect your computer by trying to identify if what the viruses, the trojans, or whatever the infections are. Meaning, if you were to have this analogy, like human body, your human body is a computer, right? It's like you looking at observing your human body and testing yourself for every possible disease out there. Meron ba akong, like, ano to? Meron ba akong HIV? Meron ba akong flu virus? Meron ba akong bacterial infection? Meron ba akong chickenpox? So you go through the whole list of every possible sickness that you have. That's the same thing that the traditional EDRs do. They have what they call like custom signatures of what has been defined as a sickness, a kind of virus, because viruses have their definitions. Eh?
Uh-huh.
And so it'll go through that list to see it, go through a checklist to see if you have that, and then it'll identify if you have that. But our EDR is breakthrough, game changing. As an entrepreneur, I like game changing, disruptive.
Well, that's the only way to make an impact as an
Diba?
entrepreneur. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You have to be. I mean, you have to do something completely brand new, or do it in a different way, or as you said, through a different lens, right? Like nobody thought of it. So this one, instead of going through all the virus definitions, what it does is it identifies what a healthy computer, your healthy computer, looks like. It will recognize that your computer has this installed, diba? Like Windows or whatever, or uTorrent or any Photoshop, and then it will monitor it and identify that, okay, your computer, based on what is installed, should look like this. And anytime something looks like it's out of the ordinary, that's when it starts monitoring to see if there's a problem. And so, can you imagine it, you as a, I mean, as a human being, having to every day go through the list of possible sicknesses that you have? That's unhealthy, diba? It'll get you more sick because you'll be anxious to know, testing yourself with swab, with what, doing an X-ray, doing an MRI. Um, it's well, number one, it's not scalable. Number two, it's just gonna make you anxious and sick. Versus what OmniSecuritas does, which is, do you look healthy or not? You're healthy, good. There seems to, or this other computer, there seems to be something that looks not right here. Let's go in and let's identify it. So, um, our smart monitoring (EDR, endpoint detection and response) is none. There's none like it in the world right now. Canada invented it. It's patented, and by some stroke of good fortune, um, and law of attraction and opportunity, um, Canada made the Philippines the exclusive distributor here in the Philippines, and I think soon Southeast Asia. And so we have this technology that no other software company has right now, and
And having said
it's
that, Paul, I wanted to point out lang something that I'm seeing in your conversation with us as you discuss your different products. The sort of overarching theme that you have across all, aside from just being disruption, is the idea that there's a higher calling to you what you're doing. That's what I often say. I've been doing a class with the Alibaba Netpreneur class, and shout out to all those doing the class with me at the same time. But they often says, if you're doing a business, there has to be sort of like higher calling, and the higher calling that you have, and the common overarching theme is that you're able to help other people in what you do. You're helping in the fitness journey, or you're helping in the security journey of somebody. So that's where, for me, people often don't see what entrepreneurs see in, why are they getting into disparate businesses, but actually in our heads everything kind of makes sense, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
you want to do good, diba? Like at the end of the day, like um it's not all. Of course you want to make money, like money solves a lot of things, right? But for us entrepreneurs, it's about leaving a legacy, that continues after us, and that's something that I think like employees don't really understand, or some businessmen don't understand. Like I always say, there's a difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur, because you can be a businessman trading anything,
exactly,
diba? Buy and
exactly.
sell, diba? But entrepreneurs build things, they create things. That's why I
There's a
always say
value
that.
added. There's a value added by entrepreneurs when they come into the picture.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
by the way, I want you to say hi to another great entrepreneur I'm going to have on the show, Jeff Amoral. Thanks so much for listening. He's clapping his hands right there. Jeff will
Hey,
have you
Jeff.
very soon on the show as well. Okay, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead,
No,
Paul.
it's good. So all I'm saying is that entrepreneurs are creators, diba? We're creative. I've always been an artist. I never viewed myself as a businessman until got into business and realized I'm more of an entrepreneur than a businessman, because my mind just works, diba? That's why you call it serial entrepreneur. There's just so many things you want to get into it,
Exactly. I
and,
get I
and
get
you
exactly
know
where you're
it's
coming from.
yeah, and you just want to keep doing it because and I know we've talked several times, RJ, and you're a spiritual guy, diba? Like you believe in God, and you pray, and they say that God made us in His image and likeness, and God is the creator, and there's no other creature in the world that can create the way a human can create. Diba? We create technology, we create paintings, but what's the next living being, living creature that can create with such complexity? But we're not animals. There's a divine touch that we've been touched by the divine to become creators, and the ultimate form of creating for me is building things. Building things that benefit mankind, benefit others, diba?
Got
And
that.
in the process you make money and become super wealthy because you're Siyempre
Got that.
negosyante rin tayo, diba?
And then I want
So
to go to I want to,
yeah,
if you don't mind, I want to go to the final business over here, Paul. No? And it's interesting, which is your current food business. But before we get into that, I want to take one more step back so that people here can really appreciate Paul's background. Because before he got into ProMedia, and he probably ran that together with his previous business, before he did OmniSecuritas, Paul was actually in the food business big time. He was into franchising his business. I want to take a step back and go into that original one because that's where people can get a lot of insight about you.
yeah.
Paul, like when you got out of college from Ateneo, did you go straight into coming up with your own business, or were you doing other things until you finally landed your first business, which was Rufus? So I want to get a story of how you got into Rufus. Let's go there.
So 1998, I graduated from Ateneo as a com arts major. I really wanted to get into something creative. Like my lolo was an artist. My lolo was a portrait painter and an editorial cartoonist for the Philippines Free Press before it closed down. Um, and so I used to draw, I used to paint. I wanted to. I directed the Ateneo freshman recruitment video where I co-directed it with my thesis group mates. I wanted to get into advertising because that's where I saw the possibility of using my creativity for something close to business, because they always say art, can you make money as an artist, starving artist, blah blah, the things that people say. uh, but then it was just so much work for so little pay at the time. So I took my internship in McCann Erickson and AB Communications Inc., AB Inc. And then after college, I worked for FedEx Air Freight 2100 as marketing specialist for advertising and promotions for 4 months. and then and
Okay.
then I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this for this salary. That's 4 months. So my employment as an employee talaga was only 4 months. After college, 1999 yun. I went to the U.S. for vacation, came back, and then I worked for a family business for a bit, but without really the intention of staying long. Kasi my family business, my parents' family business was more of businesses nga eh. There's no brand. It was really buy and sell, or I mean, it was money
Business,
making,
not
but
entrepreneurial, but rather business. I mean,
no, there was
oh,
no intention of building a company, a brand that will last, generations, diba? So I joined the family business because money was being made and my salary was high, as a COO, child of the
as
owner
an
at the
owner.
time.
Oh,
So nakasave ako. And my goal was really to save money to buy a franchise because I didn't really know how to. I like food because everyone had to eat, diba? So I was looking for a pizza franchise, a donut franchise, and then eventually in 2003, after a few years working with a family business and saving enough money, um, I came across my all-time favorite Tapsi place in Makati Avenue, called Rufos, 2003. So it was a one store carinderia style tapsihan in Makati
mhm.
that had been around since 1984 to 2003, 19 years. And I asked them if they were franchising because I wanted to use the brand and sell in another location. But in the end, the owner at the time, which was like the second or third owner after the pioneers, they said, "Why don't you just buy the whole thing?" And I didn't have money to buy the whole thing, so I had to borrow money from somebody. I had to, like, you know cash call for cash my credit cards, the usual. And then with my
But
savings,
that's how it's like, di ba? I mean, yan yung entrepreneur spirit eh, di ba? That's what we
yeah,
brought to you. Kasi parang, sige, gagawa ko ng paraan, di
yun.
ba?
You're not an entrepreneur. Some people like think entrepreneurship is being an investor in, like, one of the 10 investors in, like, a bar or like
Or a
a
startup
shop.
or whatever.
Yeah. But no, entrepreneur is when you're, like, finding ways and selling your whatever and borrowing money. Papatulan mo yung mga tumatawag na bangko for cash, whatever, just to make it work. So it was, you have to go through that, eh. Like it's
Exactly. You have to go through that. You have
character
to go through that.
building. You have to go through
Really
that.
character building.
Yeah, you have to like really go through the eye of the needle and think that you're gonna lose it all and die, or basta talagang the gamut of emotions, because that's what makes you resilient. That's the path to greatness, eh. There's no one great who
And
hasn't.
that's what builds your fortitude, eh? Because it's gonna happen to you again, eh? Di ba? It's gonna happen
Yes,
to you again and
yes,
again. It's just that it's sort of like memorized. It's sort of like you're getting the entrepreneur muscle memory na, okay, kapag
yeah,
naaral ko to, if it happens to again, dadaan rin to. Because you're gonna go through some bad times, di ba? You're gonna go through some
yeah.
bad times. You just have to
We
know
talked
how
about
it
that,
feels, eh?
diba?
Di ba? Yeah.
Yeah, and interesting you use the word muscle memory. So here we are with fitness again and our financial fitness, diba? It's yeah, it makes you stronger. It, like anything, but anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's what they say. So many failures, so many mistakes, but in the end, so from 2003, save, 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 save. Don't buy the nice car. Save, save, save. Build another store. Save, save, save. Live in like a dorm with no bathroom. Save, save, save. Build the third store. Ganun ang buhay ko.
This
So
after
after
that's after you acquired Rufus, di ba?
Yeah, after I acquired Rufos, one branch, I renovated, I save, renovate pala. Rufos Makati yun. That's the very iconic Rufos Makati, Kalayaan Corner, Salamanca. Been
Hmm.
around at that time, almost 2 decades. And then save. So renovate, save, build a second store. Um, don't buy nice clothes. Save. don't buy a watch. The usual that people nowadays, entrepreneurs, they think that you have to flex your luxuries. But you and I know that's not the way to build anything, right?
No,
It's like
no.
just pretending you're successful. So
Oh.
I reached 4 branches, and then that's when I partnered with well, at the time, the world leader in franchising to franchise out Rufos, and I started selling franchises.
And
And
that's what grew the business.
yeah, well, I grew it to 4, and then I started franchising. But by the time that's from by 2019, I had 10 branches of my own, and then 10 branches that were franchised before it was eventually acquired by a bigger group. Um, Before the pandemic, because the pandemic really, destroyed a lot of the food businesses out there.
But before going there, tell me how it was like when finally, because you know, that's like your exit strategy. Somebody bought you out because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you're gonna go, um, do I grow it some more or do I sell out? Because syempre, that's your baby already, right? What was
Yeah.
that thing that made you say, okay, I'm willing to give it up already?
It's several factors, but the main factor was really that um you also have to know when it's time. And what I was seeing during that time was I was seeing a sales decline, and I was seeing that a lot of the smaller players like me, like Rufos, like Adobo Connection, the contemporary my contemporaries there, Tapa
Mhm.
King, they were selling to bigger players, and I was
They were
seeing bigger
selling their brand,
players.
their whole brand to bigger
Yeah,
players.
yeah. And I was seeing, like, Century Tuna buy Shakey's. You're seeing Jollibee gobble up all the other, like, acquire Mang Inasal, etc. The Maxis Group acquiring others, and I was seeing that it was really going to be hard competing with their machinery in terms of production, like the alignment, consolidation of production of all the brands into one
Yeah.
commissary, the marketing budget. Even if I had the marketing budget to have TV commercials, well, at the time it was more TVCs than social media. Like
Mhm.
like there's no way you could compete because um their logistics will be a shared logistics with multiple brands. Your commissary, production, manufacturing will all be consolidated na nga. So there's no way to compete. So that was when I was seeing that it was time to sell, or to have it be acquired. At the same time, I wanted to focus on my health because I was, like, gaining weight. The stress of trying to compete with the big boys, the big players in the food industry, was taking its toll on my health. I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time. So there are a lot of realizations also that of what I had to prioritize.
So you sold it. I mean, it's great. I mean, there was a lot of great learning that came from that. And you still went back into food again after. I mean, you actually put up your own food again. Tell me a bit that why did you choose to get back into the industry again? Was it because you learned a lot of great lessons that you said, I want to reapply it again because if I could do it again, I know how to do it better. What was your thinking behind opening up? And what are they? What are they also? So people know what are these other brands you came up with.
So after I sold, so I mean, so I had a little bit of money to start new things. Well, first I had to focus on getting my health in order. I lost 40 pounds in 4 months after that. um Now I'm up to like 60 pounds lost. I'm 60 pounds lighter since 2018. uh but yeah, the food business was more of, I had a friend who wanted to try this whole samgyeopsal. At the time, malakas yung samgyeopsal. Pre-pandemic, it was a big thing. And so he wanted to partner with me in putting up a chain of samgyeopsal restaurants. We put up 3, so I put some money in there. I like the idea of food carts because I was seeing a lot of food carts doing well. Easy to run, easy to franchise. More, it's more turnkey, less human intervention, easily replicable. So my the samgyeopsal was called Mr. Hong's Unlimited Samgyeopsal. We opened 3 pre-pandemic, and then the food cart was King Fu Express. It's California style Chinese cuisine. So if you're familiar with the brand that came in recently,
The
this
biggest
is
one,
the food court version. Orange chicken, broccoli beef,
kung
but
pao
food
chicken.
court,
Yeah.
Yeah, food cart style. So 69 pesos, 79 pesos, rice bowl, Shanghai rice. So yeah, we had about six pre-pandemic. And Piggy Papa is because I was seeing itong mga sisig, these sisig food carts, food stalls were doing so well. And it was so easy to run. It's like all chopping and just, microwaving. So I was what were the learnings is if you wanted to expand to multiple outlets, you needed to simplify your operations or have an intrinsically simple operation. So the food cart business was one that I saw. So yeah, Piggy Papa, King Fu Express, and Mr. Hong's. Um, but I got into other things. I got into we were pre-pandemic supposed to have a health and beauty multi-level marketing company. It's called selling ultra products, ultra young, ultra immunicy, that the sponsors of a lot of our beauty pageants. And we were gonna expand it through multi-level marketing. And then the pandemic hit, so there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot
I
of
can, I can, I kind of see the organic growth in your head for how
yeah.
all these things kind of come together. So, having said that, no, and then coming into this new stage of the pandemic, what were the killer or what was the pivot that you had to do? I mean, first of all, did you shelve? I mean, from what I'm hearing, you've shelved the multi level marketing company, and but the food is back. So, what were your lessons from both?
I think it's really well. The lesson is also not to be in just one industry, because
Okay.
before I was just a food guy. Number one, you're putting all your eggs in one basket, and when something like the pandemic hits you hard, right? It hits you hard. If I was in the vitamin C business before the pandemic, I'd be doing well during the pandemic. So I guess diversifying your interests, your businesses, that's one. As an entrepreneur, also a serial, now calling myself a serial entrepreneur, I also don't want to be known as just the food guy or the tapa guy.
Mhm.
The reason why my social media is called famous Papa Paul is because of Rufus famous Papa. Famous Tapa. So, naging famous Papa ako kasi I was the dad of the company, di ba? So,
Oh,
yun yung Rufus famous Papa. So I didn't want to be boxed in and being one dimensional, that I'm just the food guy. um but yeah, for you to and us human beings, we're multidimensional. You can't just do one thing. So the lesson there is to have interest in different industries, different fields, so you can pivot and I mean really do a 180 if you needed to.
oh, really great insights coming up here right now, Paul. And I just wish we had a lot of more time to talk because this is really a lot of stuff coming out here right now. But just in case there are any future beauty queen athletes listening to the show right now, where can they go if they want to apply to ProMedia to be potentially one of the beauty queen athletes that you guys have?
So they can go to our social media pages, Facebook or Instagram. Just look for Pro Media or Pro Media PH.
Got it. And then also, if they want to look, if somebody wants to get OmniSecuritas, do they just go to the
Oh,
web?
so everybody who owns a computer, a laptop, an iPad, and soon even your mobile device, it's really a matter of not if but when. It's everyone, every bank is now getting hacked. Computers, corporations are getting hacked. You need to be protected. OmniSecuritas is really the game changer. It's not even your traditional EDR. So check it out. We do free trials. We do a free trial, 1 month trial. OmniSecuritas PH in Facebook or Instagram.
Got that. And then finally, as we start to wrap things up, you've had a great entrepreneurial journey, a lot of ups and downs in the process. I mean, you've opened up businesses, you've closed businesses. Some have been successful, some have were not so successful. And for the starting entrepreneur, or the struggling entrepreneurs listening to us here right now, or even let's project back to the 19-year-old Paul Reyes who's coming out there. What would be what you would share with him rather, as 3 to 4 business hacks that you'd like them to know.
Number one, read books, watch videos, just learn as much as you can. That's where you get your education now, less from traditional schooling. That's one. Number two, find a mentor. My biggest mistake was thinking I knew it all. And when you think you know it all, you don't grow. So I have a mentor in Gib, I have a mentor in Pau, I have a mentor in RJ. You just have to have the humility to listen to other people, and
Agree,
I
agree.
didn't. That was my
Super
biggest
agree, man.
mistake. Yeah, yeah.
Then
So
your
yeah, I
turn.
think
Meron ka pa.
fix your health. And when I say health, mental health, emotional health, and physical health, because you can't be great if you're dead, right? You can't be rich if you're dead.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why, the reason Pao and I Paul and I kind of got together during this pandemic. So, nakikita ko yung just for the people, if you take a Paul Izon Reyes and look at his physical transformation, which he shared online, and I was truly amazed by what he had done. And I did the same thing also during this pandemic because I said to myself, okay, this could last for the longer term, right? We didn't know at the
Right.
start. So it's either stressed but fit or stressed and fat. And I want to choose the stressed and fit over here. And shout out to my coach if he's listening, Sandra Roman. He's been doing a really great job for me and getting me really fit and keeping me on this journey, which I like because now it's like getting on a bicycle. Once you know it and you just follow the basic principles, you know exactly what to do. Like me and Paul were in a conversation the other day. We kind of figured out the only thing that kulang that you just need once you figure out the health and fitness part is the diet part, right? So because
Yeah.
when you figure that part out, just how you manage your diet, then you can get more fit, or fit to what you want, the fitness level that you want,
But I
right?
see you're starting your healthy diet now.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks to Healthy Foodie Manila as well. It's been helping out high protein, low carbs. I mean, suddenly everything starts to make sense for you, and I get the connection now of why health is important, particularly in making business decisions or keeping your mind sharp, especially as you get older. It becomes even more key. Becomes even more
last
key.
last thing to say about your health and business, right? Well, shout out to Athletes Bite Foods, performance food. That's what helped me lose 60 pounds. But
Wow.
last thing about health, fitness, and business. All things being equal, if you saw a CEO, smart, rich, amazing, well educated, and he's fat and unhealthy, and then the same one but ripped and healthy, but same thing, same equal level of intelligence, accomplishment, wealth, pedigree, etc., who would you invest in, put your millions in, risk your business with? The unhealthy CEO or the healthy CEO? Diba? Uh-oh, nawala si RJ. I think you're
Yes,
on
I
mute.
got that. I got that. Yeah, and I was earlier on. I was with my brother. We were out of town for an ocular, and we were there was a podcast he was listening to, and sometimes I find that athletes make very good CEOs because
Yeah,
of the mentality that I mean, it's the mental toughness. It's
yeah.
sort of like and the physical training that they come in with game mode, and they come in, these guys also really believe I got to be fit if I want to do business. I mean that's something truly admirable I find from many of the athletes coming out.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different story over there. Lastly, Paul, you've been talking about some really great books. Maybe you can share with them right now. What books have you come across that you really really like that you want to share? If people have to read something, these are the books I want you to read.
Well, basics that you start out with, I think, uh, how to win friends and influence people helps you to deal with people. Helps you to it's just being a people person and getting along with others. Um, Rich Dad Poor Dad was a really great one. I have some really good ones with regards to the mind. It's called Evolve Your Brain by Joe Dispenza, because the mind is the most powerful tool you have, right? The most powerful weapon you have. So Evolve Your Brain is another good one. Any book by Simon Sinek in terms of leadership is really good. So yeah, I think those are my favorites.
Great book. Like again, no, Simon Sinek start with why, and that's really like that's exactly why you if you're passionate about something, you have to have a strong why you're doing it, and that, as you can see from OmniSecuritas to ProMedia to the food, Paul has a strong why as to why he wants to do it, and that's how I often tell people, my why when they look at my own business, Mercato. What's your why? Sabi ko, why? I'm helping other people. I mean, I'm helping small food entrepreneurs achieve their dreams because every time you buy from them you're helping them send their kids to school. I mean, that's a
Right.
strong why. That's a strong why for me, and it got me through the pandemic. Saying, I'm in trouble, but I mean, I might be, under stress, but these people are more than I am under stress. So
Right.
that's why we as entrepreneurs, you go, what can we do? Anong diskarte natin to help them find ways to get back doing business? And I guess that's really the key thing, for many entrepreneurs. Even Jack Ma, di ba? His biggest thing was that I need to help small businesses. That's really what Alibaba was, and that's how he built the businesses. I want to help people do business easier, and there was a strong higher calling for him to help small Chinese businesses, and that's why we're here right now, and that's why I think talking to you resonates so much with me, guys. Thanks so much. I hope you learned a lot from Paul Reyes over here on the show. Again, people following ProMedia, you will see more of his beauty queen athletes topping the beauty queen pageants here in the Philippines and all over the world. This has been the RJ Ledesma Podcast. We will see you guys in our next podcast. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Paul, stick
you.
around.